Today we're going to look at Ohio State and how they run their fade out. I know it's not that interesting, but they do it a little bit different than what I've ever seen before, and we'll jump right into it. Right here they're in 2x2. A lot of times what they like to do is motion their back that direction, maybe running a stick or something over to the two receiver side. But what they do, they ended up coming in 2 steps, and they go vertical about 4, and then they get out. You know, most times people, when they talk about their fade outs, they're coming their speed out, or they come up and they may square it off against man, maybe give a shake to get to the out. But this is a real interesting look. I hadn't seen a team throw as much fade out since, you know, early in the spread days when everybody's still playing cover 3. But right here, these guys do a really good job with it. And of course, outside we're FOR or MOR, depending on what you call it, getting that corner back to the out so he can't see both routes. Right here we'll play it and we can kind of see what takes place. So they send that back a little bit early. It takes that middle backer 2 steps in by the slot, then it gets up about 4. It creates a lot more separation if he's just running that speed out or if he's running just a square out. As you can see, he's outside leverage. The outside linebacker's outside leverage. When he comes in, he thinks some kind of crossing route, then he has to flip his hips again, and it creates a lot of space for him right there when they do that. And it happens multiple times, and I mean, they get open, they create a lot of space when they do it, especially to the boundary. It leaves more space for the receiver once he does get the ball so he can make something happen. This is a very similar look to the last play. Again, pushing the running back to the field. They got their fade out to the boundary, trying to get that corner shoulders turn. Looks like he's almost running into the middle of them, which a lot of teams kind of start doing that, trying to just create contact right there, so it's almost like a block. But right there you can see the slot receiver down here to the bottom. Takes 2 in, 1, 2, gets vertical 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he works out. Again, creating space, makes that linebacker hesitate for a second, thinking it's maybe a crossing route or maybe a climb route, trying to get over the top of him. And then it also, as you can see, after the catch right there, he's got maybe 2 extra steps before he gets to the sideline, so he can get upfield and get the first down. Again, just throwing it to the boundary. Probably a little read right there, reading that mic. That mic pushes to the field. Let's go ahead and go to the boundary on the fade out. Easy completion, good spot right there, the ball. Again, the same concept, still fade out to the boundary. I think this slot kind of cuts his out down a couple steps. He takes 2 steps to the inside, and then he goes 2 vertical instead of 4. Still creating space, gets that outside backer's hips open. And right here you can see to the field, they push that running back to the field with their spacing concept. And you can count those guys over there. They got 4 receivers over there with a spacing concept, or 3 receivers over there with a spacing concept, and they got 4 defenders. So they were kind of outnumbered. Still probably could have hit that inside spacing, that spot route, but they still go to the boundary, easy throw and catch. And it's still creating more yards. If he would have pressed it up maybe 2 more steps, I think he would have got this ball with a little bit better timing and with more space to make something happen after the catch. This is another look that really shows how they like to run their route, because there's a pretty tight angle of it. But right there, they motion the running back, run their fade out to the boundary, they run the levels up top. But right here, the second look will really show the route that we're trying to see. But again, 2 steps in, 4 vertical, creates a lot of space right there. 1, 2, goes vertical, and then he's able to create that space. Again, he's running on a linebacker, so again, those guys' hips probably not as good. If you can get those guys to open and kind of lean one way or another, and a lot of times they'll kind of get stuck, especially you know, those bigger guys. Now looks like a linebacker. Again, get him in space. He's not as good as our running back. That's what they're trying to do right there. In this instance, they actually swing their back to the wide side where they have the fade out, so it pretty much turns into a stick concept right here for him. Pretty good look right here. Creates space once he swings, gets out there pretty wide. Now he comes in 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now he's basically running that route on a safety. So right there, I think it's a pretty good concept, especially if that mic's not going to get out of the box very quickly. We're running that fade out basically on the outside backer. We're taking, or on the safety, taking the outside linebacker with that swing. If he sticks on that out, then we can flip it out there to the back in space. So just another way they can do it. They run their levels concept backside like they do on a lot of their 3x2 routes. But right there, they stay play side and get a completion because the mic didn't quite push out as far as they probably thought he should have. But anyway, just kind of a different look for those guys. I threw this look in here, a little goal line route that a lot of people like to run, a little stick nod. In our 3x1, this would be the same as our fade out, and you can see what they end up doing right here. Both the inside receivers, the slots over here to the 3 receiver side and empty, they both end up running what begins to look like an out. He's going to have a little bit shorter. He's going to go right there. He's still FOR on outside, but what they end up doing is going there for a nod, and then they go back to the back of the end zone. He goes out, and then he comes back in. Basically turns into a level concept, but it looks a lot like, you know, a fade out. A lot of teams like to run this on the goal line. We do as well. Hadn't ran it in a couple of years, but this is a pretty good route, especially if you're getting like a picket fence defense. Not really so much man, but just a lot of kind of zone down there around the goal line. You can be pretty good play, but we'll play it. It doesn't quite work out, but you can kind of see what took place right there. He goes to the out. They kind of jump it. You can see this backer right here. He gets his eyes off of the actual route and is just trying to jump underneath. Right there, his eyes are right there thinking he's about to jump this out. Then he comes back into that big window behind him. And then if they don't like that, then they have this in right here from that receiver. That out, then in on that guy. Hopefully we can beat him underneath and have a chance to throw him the ball. Here's a better look from the end zone of the route on that stick nod. Right there you can see 14. He's going out a little bit, and then he breaks, puts his foot in the ground, gets vertical, trying to get in that window. And you can see that is a lot of space. That's a lot of space right there. Also could be, you know, a good sign for quarterback draw later on. Those guys getting out, 4-man box. Then also you can see with him coming back underneath, if we don't like that, maybe he's getting walled pretty hard. He's got a lot of space to win there with speed on a backer with a double move. So again, really good concept that you can throw in there. They liked it out of empty, probably running some kind of fade out, trying to get those guys to the sideline over that direction. But just another good concept that you can throw, especially towards the goal line, that a lot of teams like, especially in the NFL.